Shall I make try a formal start, Dom?
Yeah, you can
Try.
Yeah?
Bet.
You ready?
And if Dom has not started from here, welcome to the Geek Retreat podcast.
Oh, we're live.
Oh, we've been recording for like
all this time.
18 minutes.
Oh no, what did I say?
We've got the links and drug
Breakfast wrap-up.
To the Breakfast Wrap-Up podcast. This is the best start. Doing it live! We're doing it live, everybody. This one is a bit special this time because we have coming up at Geek Retreat the March of the I am doing well. March of the Machines.
Singular.
March of the Machine. Pre-release.
It's just the one S.
Do you know who propagated that here?
What?
Fucking Ian. He keeps calling it machines, and I was like, no one's calling it that. And then suddenly everyone started calling it. And I was like, but there's just one machine.
Oh, it's only Alice Norton.
I assumed it was multiple machines. Like, I didn't know what they were referring to.
All will be one.
All will be one. Yeah, but isn't it like a Borg thing of where like all will be one, but one is many?
Yeah.
Yeah, so plural still makes sense.
Apparently not to these guys.
Yeah, you know what?
The pre-release is on Friday, the 14th of... I was going to say February, it's April.
You're right.
I've not slept enough. 14th of April.
Apparently you've just not slept in a month.
And...
Did you forget about March?
No, because it's March off the machine.
Grown.
Can't believe you went into it. I'm good. Not sugar yet. Not sugar.
As you can see, we have two new guests on the podcast. Josh and Kieran. I was going to wait for them to introduce themselves, but Josh, just wait. Josh, how about you tell us how you got into magic?
So I got into magic around the Pharaohs block, which is sort of 2013, 2014. Sort of pulled into it by a friend. You know, we started with like kitchen tabletop magic. Eventually, I got bored of being stomped on by my friend. I wanted to be stomped on by strangers. So I attended my local F&M, which at the time was Waterstones in Newport. That's where I met you originally.
Yeah.
Played standard for a good few years. Sort of dropped out around Magic Origins.
And then about time to drop.
Yeah, it was. And then sort of picked it back up in between lockdowns, with then going from standard to commander. The first precon that I picked up was the Elven Empire, the lateral blade of the elves. Without doing any research, I just like, ooh, elves, let's go. And then
Did you off a potluck? You did well.
Yeah.
You were like tokens.
And yeah, just been sort of hooked on Commander and Magic ever since then. It's been good. Then I met you when I went to Sin City and
We beat that.
yes. Oh, is that a no?
No, it's not. It's PTSD. Well, I got into magic. I played like yonks ago with my mates in school and college, but never understood the rules. Like play sets weren't a thing.
So you're doing like, classic anime of Yu-Gi-Oh rules.
Yeah.
Where you made them up.
Don't get me started on that lately. Because I talk for hours on that. But I proper got into it when I moved to Wales and then started working at Beak. God, that was Core 21 was like my first pre-release. Best set. Can you guess why?
What card was in it?
Well, take any
Not
guess.
sliver.
Dinosaurs?
Incorrect.
Is it a 5-color commander?
Incorrect. Didn't get into that drug until I worked here. No, it was the errata from Hounds to Dogs.
What was it?
So they changed any previous word hound on a card now referred to the word dogs.
Oh, okay.
So, and to celebrate this, there were so many dogs in standard, you can make a standard legal deck out of dogs. It was not good. It was not pretty, but it functioned, goddammit. It was in Boros.
Boros.
And that was when I was like, oh, Boros is great. And then I got off that train real quick, because it really ain't.
We finally know who let the dogs out. It's Boros.
Borg. But no, I've been hooked on Magic the Gathering and card games forever. If not Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, Vanguard for a while. We beat that.
Dom, how did you get into Magic?
I got into Magic when I was in college. So I was speaking with a friend, and he was, trying to introduce me to Magic. And the way that he did it was, we went into the library, and he sat me down in front of a computer with a simulator. You know those ones where you can just put whatever card you want on there from a deck and tap everything. And he was going through like a series of turns, and I was so confused. I had no idea what was going on. It was like, oh, you tap this, oh, you do this, you do this. I'm like,
everyone's first introduction to Magic.
What? What are you on about? Yeah, I had no idea what he was on about, and I think just through sheer confusion and determination to figure out what he was on about, I got into the game. Much like you, Josh, I started off at Waterstones, playing Standard. I remember Lincoln helped me build a mono black aggro deck that I loved and just played to death. It was like the only deck that I played in Standard. And yeah, I sort of stopped when I moved away from Newport for a couple of years. And then, after lockdown, Geek Tree opened and I started playing again. Started playing Commander.
Can you believe that's been just over a year, the Geek Tree opened? It's mad.
Crazy. It's crazy. Feels like time has flown by.
A full year of playing Magic. My God.
None of us have quit.
Yet.
I've been close.
Someone turned 4 board wipes. Me.
You don't need to say someone. We won't even beep his name. You know who you are.
Link, how did you get into Magic?
My story is kind of funny. Basically, at college, because funny enough, the friend that probably got you into Magic is probably the friend that slightly got me into Magic.
Really?
Yeah, except for a different reason.
Okay.
In the common room of the Cross Keys College, I was there, and me and my one friend were sitting there, and we noticed that 2 girls were playing a card game over in the corner. We were like, these girls are cute. What are they playing? Moseyed on over.
Moseyed on over in your boots.
We were like, what are you playing? And they were like, Magic the Gathering. Have you played before? Me as the professional liar, like, yes. I play this all the time.
This is like sitcom level.
My friend then was like, you've not played before. I was like, no, do you have any decks? He was like, I got old decks I could bring down. So this is how I figured out what a standard rotation is. We then came down with the cards. The girls were there like, do you want to play against us when you brought the cards? And I was like, yeah, sure. So we played against them. And then afterwards, your friend came in and we found out that it was his girlfriend that we were talking to.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. So they then left, and me and the guy were left there thinking to ourselves, we got into this card game to pick up chicks in. Didn't work out. However, this card game's lit.
Got into card games.
Now I'm here.
Shocked.
Got addicted to the cards and was like, this game is amazing. So now I'm here.
Awesome.
I think I've had some of the dumbest times playing Magic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what I enjoy about it. Just the dumb things that happen, like weird interactions where we're like, well, guess this board state's screwed. Let's find out where we go. Turn 4 board wipe. Let's go.
like you come for the games, but you stay for the banter. That's like the greatest games of Magic I've ever had. Is just one where we like the game is like the background and the banter is the foreground.
Oh, yeah. The game is shit talk.
Yeah.
I think it's also as well when somebody's like taking too long on their turn and you're just listening to everyone at Geek Retreat and you hear somebody at the back of the store just shout something random
and
you're
they
like,
were roommates.
what's going on over there? So let's start with the March of the Machines spoilers. Josh, what did you want to talk about of some of the spoilers that came out?
Can I talk about the March of the Machine spoilers first?
Sure.
Yeah. They're the single machine, not the
Single
plural.
Not the plural one.
Joke's on you. You only get to talk about one card now, dickhead.
So there's a couple of sort of standouts for me. Obviously, we won't go through all 100 odd, more than that, hundreds of new cards. The one that I was kind of predicted and most looking forward to, which then turned out to be a flop, was the new Omnath.
Blomnath.
Or Blomnath. Omnath, Locus of All. The OG or greatest Omnath right here. Omnath, Locus of Creation.
As the 5-color player, I do think you're wrong.
you would. So, legendary creature, Phyrexian Elemental, 4/4. If you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes black instead. Yeah, sure. Not landfall, though, is it?
No, but this is phenomenal. You just float your mana into your turn and then go into their turn with nothing but black mana and removal.
Yeah, but the original Omnath did that. Omnath looks of mana. It's nothing new.
This is why the second text is something new.
At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card if it has 3 or more coloured mana symbols in its mana cost. If you do, add 3 mana in any combination of its colours and put it into your hand. If you don't, reveal it and put it into your hand. It's kind of mid.
So, your deck build is nothing but 3 mana pip cards, and you go, sick, hand, oh, play it! What are you on about? This card's great.
Like, there's limitations and there's limitations. Like, you have to build very, like, strict that if you want to do that.
You've not built a 5-color deck yet, have you? that is the deck build. You're like, you don't, with this, your land base can be dirt cheap and simple because all the mana is generated via the commander once he's out. He is just board building himself. I think it's cracked.
I was going to build it, but I thought, I can't do it.
I also love the buyer box being an alt art for a change because previous sets lately have just used borderless foils, and the fact that the buyer box this time is an alt art is really nice.
The alt art is absolutely gorgeous.
The alt,
I think to myself sometimes, they're like, do I buy a full box just to get this art?
Yeah, it's that's the one thing I think, in my opinion, that they've got to go for it is those arts. Good.
You had another card you wanted to talk about?
Oh,
or is that your Oathbreaker I'm seeing?
Oh yeah, so the next card is the card that will be my Oathbreaker. Archangel Elspeth, new Planeswalker. Legendary Planeswalker Elspeth. Her +1 is to create a 1/1 white soldier token with lifelink. Her -2 is to put 2 +1/+1 counters on a target creature. It becomes an angel in addition to its other types and gains flying. And her -6 is to return all non-land permanent cards with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, which is pretty good.
Is it from your graveyard?
From your graveyard.
Oh, man.
Comes in with 4 loyalty counters for 2 generic mana and 2 white. And I like angels right now. Because when we got into Oathbreaker, which is another new entire drug all of its own, you sold me an awesome Sarah the Benevolent deck. So when the new cards drop, I'll make a few changes and swap it out. But it's going to be good. I'm excited for this one.
We're going to get into lore later, but
yeah,
this card, crap.
The art is amazing as well.
Yeah, the full art is gorgeous.
It hit different.
Yeah, I do.
The Magic Gathering always it gets some of the best artists.
Absolutely.
I'd like to throw out for the viewers that Oathbreaker is we'll say a new format. It's been recognised by Wizards, so it's basically Commander of its all cards. You're only allowed 1 of each specific card in your deck, except for basic lands. But instead of having your commander be any legendary creature or planeswalker that says that it can be your commander, Oathbreaker is 60 cards, singleton, and you get your planeswalker, any planeswalker, to be the commander, and it can have a signature spell, an instant, or a sorcery that is alongside it. So if you have a red planeswalker, you can have a red instant or sorcery alongside it as well. So us as a table, since we all play mostly Commander and Oathbreaker, we're going to be looking at the cards strictly from that lens, most likely.
Yeah.
We might make our own assumptions on Standard. I will. But we'll probably mostly be talking from a Commander perspective.
Yeah. The last card I want to touch on is a card that took me by surprise. I think it will be my next build when I get the funds for it.
This surprises me.
Yeah. Zimone and Dina. Legendary creature, human dryad, one of the sort of partner team up cards, which is a new thing that Yes, and the Strixhaven art. I love all of the Strixhaven art cards. They're awesome, which is kind of what drew me to it initially. But I read what the card does. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. You can tap it and sacrifice another creature. Draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you control 8 or more cards, repeat this process once. It's cool. It's kind of a somewhat fixed Tulane Teller of Tales. Not as broken as that card. Yeah, it's cool.
What are you thinking of, Kieran?
3 colour pips.
Yeah.
On that.
He's like, that's going straight in the 99.
No, it's a good card. I, as a rule of thumb, dislike the cards that all say whenever you draw your second card, because they just do one thing on your turn and then the card's more or less dead. Is how it always feels to me. Like, there's people out there that'll be like, you're wrong, and I'm like, it's fine, I can be wrong. But it just feels slow.
Yeah.
And that's my only issue with it.
And that's where you introduce things like, Seedborn News and tapping all your permanents on other people's turns,
Yeah.
and then do it on other people's turns. And like, I was also looking at effects like, the card's suddenly blanking on me. It's a blue enchantment. When a creature enters the battlefield, everything untaps. Raise the alarm, is it?
I think it is.
Raise the alarm.
It's either the blue one or the white one.
It's
It's the one that's like the walking lot
Yeah.
thing in Fairy Tale set.
Eldraine, yeah.
It's not Raise the Alarm, that's a white instant that creates soldiers.
Oh, what am I thinking of then?
I'll go to sets.
Yeah, the idea is you have something like that on the field. You do, you tap it to draw the card. To ideally you've got like one of the bounce lands.
Intruder alarm?
Intruder alarm. That's
It's
it.
not even from Eldraine. I don't know why I thought it was.
So you have a bounce land in hand. You play the bounce land, bounce it back to your hand, and then ideally have like a landfall based token generator to then untap everything. And
Interestingly, it's in black, green, blue, so you've got a lot of really nice ramp interaction in
Yeah.
that. Honestly, it's 2 of the most interactive colours in Magic right now in black, blue.
And I don't know, obviously metas differ across stores and the country, but here interaction has become quite a thing that you need to
Bring.
I play an extremely passive deck and do not know what you're on about.
I'm a blue player.
I'm in danger.
Put the gun away.
Yeah, those were sort of 3 cards that sort of stuck out for me. I could talk about loads of cards.
Norris, do you want to go to me next?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is just going to take a hot minute. That may be 5 colours. I'm loving dinosaurs at the minute.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to get away with not having to buy anything this set. And then the first card they previewed was goddamn Galter and Marvren.
Oh, it's the green white dinosaur vampire.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
They were like, Kieran, do you know what with the bundle promo this time? And I'm like, well, yes, I'm buying a bundle. So he is 3 colours, 2 green, 2 white. Fairly costly, but he's a 12/12.
Mm-hmm.
Already. Correct.
Worth it already.
Trample, whenever you attack, choose one. Attack declaration, choose one. Create a attacking XX green dinosaur creature token with trample, where X is the greatest power amongst other attacking creatures. Busted in green.
Yeah.
Possibly even worse in white. I've not looked into that too much. But you've also got the option of creating X11 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is the number of other attacking creatures. This goes wide. In dinosaur.
Wide, or it can go tall.
And if you're playing an Abzan deck and you've got that Sorin that lets you drop a vampire
Yeah, it's
on like
just,
turn 3.
it's a really weird choice to put these 2 together. I get it, they're both from Ixalan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Galter was particular on anyone's side at that point, but hey, at least prove they're alive.
Does that card, Kieran, the one that you just mentioned with the attack trigger, go well? I'm trying to remember what the other card was. There's another green card in this set that when it deals combat damage, you get +1/+1 counters equal to the amount of damage. That you dealt? Just a big green creature. Trying to find it.
Vorinclex?
It does sound very green.
Sounds very Vorinclex. Sounds like a thing a Praetor would do.
No, it's just on the creature itself. It was.
You got it.
Oh, Ancient Imperiosaur, are you on about?
Quite possibly.
Which was going to be another card I was going to talk about.
Oh, was it?
Anyway, so this is fine. Imperiosaur in general, because it was just a great card before, but now they're like, 5/2 green for a 6/6, and I'm like, why does it cost one more than what it does? It has Convoke. Trample and Ward 2, already great keywords.
Amazing.
And then Ancient Imperiosaur enters the battlefield with 2/1/1 counters on it for each creature that convokes it. So this can enter with an extra 10 counters on. Well, yeah, an extra 10 counters on it, as long as you're just tapping creatures, which works really well with that Golter that's generating vampires.
Yeah.
And it's got Ward.
And it's got Ward too.
That's broken.
It's mono green, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going straight in my green deck.
It's so good.
My mono green's going to suddenly become mono green dinosaurs at this rate.
And this kind of like segues into a point I was going to make as well. Who's happier that Convoke's back?
I was just about to say, like, it's because it Convoke was a big thing in Theros, right?
Yeah,
Pharos and the core set before it, I believe.
Yeah.
because it's all about like worship and that bringing things in. Which is kind of like a sub-theme of March of the Machine, because it's all about, Elish Norn's ego is being fed, yay. Spoilers, yes. But I'm going to leave talking about one particular dinosaur until we move on to the subject of battles as well. Because of the interaction with it is nuts.
No, it is probably the same card that I want to talk about.
That's fine.
We can talk at the same time.
We can talk, because we've got 2 battles that generate dinosaurs as well.
Mm-hmm.
One of them's actually references a card that we never got from Ikoria as well.
Oh, yeah, the big dinosaur.
Yeah, not that one. You'd think I'd remember. Yeah, Zolathora.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only way we got that card previously was a buyer box. It was a box topper, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But we never saw the actual print of the card, and they were like, "We'll print it again, don't worry," and we've not seen it since.
Oh, because that was the
Death Corona.
The kaiju design, was it? Like
Icorias, yeah. But they were like, we'll print it again, don't worry. But unfortunately, they printed it as Godzilla Death Corona during the pandemic. That didn't go down well, so the second print, we never saw the card.
Oh, dear.
But yeah, we'll talk about that battle later, because we'll probably move on to battles, but that's great. Atali's been completed.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is my final card to talk about, because I'll just go on. But it is a 5/red for a 7/7 Elder Dinosaur, and I was like, yay, Atali. And then I read the story. When it enters the battlefield, each player exiles the top card from their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among the non-land cards exiled this way without paying that mana cost. It's basically a mid-previous Atali.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ETB Atali rather than a
value.
value.
The fact that she does it on ETB, though, makes her slightly better, just because people can't unless they have a counter spell, people can't remove her.
Yeah.
Because once she's on cast and on the stat, you either counter her, and then when she enters and her ability starts, doesn't matter if you remove her, the ability still happens.
Yeah. And then pay 9, 1 Phyrexian green, transform Atali, activate only as a sorcery.
That's a lot of money to 10 for that.
Yeah.
In red-green, though.
That's the other side of it. I'm like, I can afford it, because I'm running mana doublers out the
Yeah,
wazoo in that deck. I'm running Cage Sun, I'm running Mirari's Wake. It doesn't hurt.
If you need Planeswalkers, Xenagos is very good for it. Xenagos makes ridiculous mana.
But then the other side is a red-green creature, legendary creature, Phyrexian Elder Dinosaur. Trample Indestructible.
It should not have Indestructible. If you know anything about the story, it should not have Indestructible.
Oh, yeah. In lore-wise, no.
Like, if anyone's looking at the artwork for this as well, it freaks me out.
It looks sick.
Well, no, zoom in. Those dinosaurs in front of Atali do not give an F.
Oh, no, they don't.
They look completely
So chill.
impartial to Atali's existence.
Oh, yeah, they just have face like
Big red lightning screaming Atali. They wonder what's for dinner. But no, whenever Atali Primal Sickness deals combat damage to a player, they get that many poison counters. So, Blightsteel Colossus is a thing, and they would like. What if it was a dinosaur?
When this flips, would it have summoning sickness? I can't remember the rule on that.
No, because
No.
it's not been exiled to re-enter the
Transforming
battlefield.
won't give it some sickness.
Also, the big thing about this card was the fact that we got shown what Ixalan's showcases are going to look like. And I can't wait for the gold coins.
Yeah. Do you want to make Natalia a bit more busted? She can be your commander.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
as
can
much as
have
I
your-
love that,
You can have your commander be a one-shot. You just bring out your commander, and then if they don't deal with it on that point and you transform it, you all of a sudden have Blightsteel Colossus as your commander. You don't need 21 damage, you need 1 hit.
This is why you play Interaction, kids.
Mainly wipes and exile.
but yeah, I also think it's interesting that it doesn't exile when it dies, so you can recur this.
Yeah. Just keep doing it.
I'll do it again.
It's such a good card.
Yeah, it's probably my highlight of the set. Golto early on was, but this Atali's insane. Especially considering it's an enter trigger and not an uncast trigger for its face side, which means I play Gishap as my dinosaur commander, which, for those that don't know, when you deal damage to a player, you just stack down however much damage you've dealt. This Atali will just trigger.
The Italia will
I like how you
immediately
zoomed
come
in on the
like,
coin. You're like,
No,
oh.
I was thinking like I would love it if they like made these coins a reality and sort of made physical coins as like a thing.
They did it with the Warhammer one.
Josh, I like having money. Shut up.
Oh. Dom, hit us with some cards that you're excited for.
Cool. I think it's just the one card that I'm going to talk about because I think it's going to be interesting as an Oathbreaker deck.
Okay.
And that's the new Chandra Planeswalker. Chandra Hope's Beacon, who costs 4 red. She comes in with 5 loyalty counters. She has a static ability that says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. This ability triggers only once each turn. I just think it'd be interesting to run something mono red spell slinger and just have things copy. Yeah, just really burny. Yeah. I think some of the games that I've played recently, I've had a lot of fun. Not necessarily dealing with people through combat damage and just burning them in different ways. I was really
Nice
happy
token
when,
line, dickhead.
I was over the moon when I killed someone with Sign-In Blood the other day, so
Shielder by chance.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I've got Shielder on the field. More cards, dickhead.
Oh, what's that? You lose your remaining 6 life.
Mid.
And if you combo it with the newer red Dominus that doubles up non-combat damage, you're sorted.
Yeah. I might actually have that
These are
one.
cards I want to talk about.
Interesting interaction here. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. Twin Flame is I believe, a sorcery?
It's either a sorcery or an instant.
From Brothers War.
Yeah.
Right.
And it copies the next instant or sorcery you cast.
Which means you'll get
You get
2.
2 copies of a spell.
Ooh, okay.
This means that the next spell that you copy after that is going to be copied 2 or 3 times?
If my interactions work out there. I know the
You
new one
You
they
should have
just...
the original, the copy, and the
So
copy.
three copies on the stack. Because
Yeah,
I was looking at this card for my Angelo deck.
Of course you will.
Of course I will. Yeah, it's a nutty card. It's a nutty deck. Did I ever tell
Casualty
you?
to cast?
Did I ever tell you about the time I put 4 copies of Exsanguinate on the stack with extra 17?
Oh, I remember that.
Put it in the chat. You literally put it in the chat on Friday.
I was so proud of that.
I'd also like to throw out for everyone, for this Chandra, we're only talking about her static ability.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
we
we've not got on to extra
yeah.
stuff that she actually does. That's just her being on board.
She just exists and we're like, oh god, we hate it. Value.
So Chandra's +2 is just add 2 mana in any combination of colours.
Just pays for your shock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then, you copy it because that's what she does. Her +1 is exile the top 5 cards of your library. Until the end of your turn, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from among those exiled cards. Just pretty great.
Yeah.
Good way to get through your cards. And then -X is Chandra deals X damage to each of up to 2 targets.
Targets can be players.
Targets can be players. The most
Targets can
effective
be-
kind of removal, that.
Yeah.
It's player removal.
She has a nice interaction with the card. I know you're going to talk about. I'm going to grab these tissues.
But on the note of targets, though, and we're going to get onto it a little bit later, but targets can also be battles.
Yes.
Because that's going to be a new interesting way of how we interact with those cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Question for the table, because I'll be honest, I'm not that knowledgeable in Magic cards. I can't remember them, much like I can't remember Pokemon these days anymore either. How much Proliferate is there in Red?
oh, next to none. As
Okay.
far
A few though.
just off the top of my head.
They had 2 in the last set. I can remember.
Sponsor me, Mana Box. I'm going to look.
Because Red started getting oil counters. So they had Volt Charge, which was 1 red, 1 blue, Lightning Strike, something proliferate.
Mm.
So they've done a few, but again, like not too many.
I think if you're looking to do something with red and something with proliferate, I'd recommend
How do I spell
Red,
that?
blue.
proliferate, my friend.
How are you spelling proliferate? Is it P?
Proliferate.
Proliferate. Those that don't know.
Ral,
Massive.
the Storm Conduit is
There are 2 cards in red with proliferate.
Oh,
Only
okay.
2 in
Yeah.
existence.
Never mind.
Cacophony, Scamp, and Volt Charge, apparently.
but there's a lot more proliferate stuff in blue. Like even the Ikamoon Gauntlet, which specifically ties into like Planeswalker stuff.
And gives
Like-
them proliferate.
Yeah,
I now
so it
realise
gives-
why you traded that out.
Yeah, it gives the Planeswalker a new loyalty ability of 0, which is just proliferate, and another one which is -12, which is like take an extra turn.
Yeah.
So depending on how stanky you want to be.
Yeah.
But the great thing about it is like the standing ability on Ikamoon Gauntlet is whenever you cast, I think it's either non-creature spells or instant and sorceries, but you can proliferate just on casting those.
Got it.
Yeah.
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 That sounds cool. So what I was thinking, and the reason I was wondering about Proliferate is, Proliferate Chandra up to as much as I feel like, and just minus Exa for everything.
Yeah.
And just shoot 2 people in the face at the pod because, I'm like that.
Oh, so you stanky.
Tom, like, I don't like to take extra turns, but I will deal 30.
I'm trying to think of dumb ways you can do it right now, but
Yeah.
the easiest way to do it would be, unfortunately, require green.
Yeah.
Because Voronclex from Kaldheim would mean she'd end up with twice as many counters.
You'd be fine for a Super Friends deck. So Super Friends being mainly just Planeswalkers and instants and sorceries, you don't really run too many creatures.
Yeah.
So she'd be great in that. Because not only is she giving you colours to get your other Planeswalkers out, she also is exiling the top 5 cards of your library to get all of the other removal and interaction that you need.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
What colour is the sword from New Capenna that makes a Planeswalker into a creature?
Oh, it's
White.
white,
Is it white
isn't
or
it?
colourless?
It's the Halo sword, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It's either white or colourless, one of them.
It's white, I'm sure.
Yeah, because there's an interaction with that where if you give it to a Planeswalker, then give the Planeswalker 1/1 counters and then take it off the Planeswalker, that's their loyalty.
That's crazy.
Is it?
Ooh.
Oh, that's cool. They're the same thing.
Because it's just a counter.
Do I need to-
It's the same interaction
yeah.
you'd get off of. Feel free to call me wrong in the comments. But it's the same interaction as the green Voronclex. It's just double counters.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
What are you looking for?
Just look.
I'm trying to remember what the sword's called.
Luxio.
Excelsior.
Giada's Gift. Found it here. Oh no, it is colorless. My bad. It's 1 colorless mana. Luxio Giada's Gift. Legendary artifact equipment. Equipped a creature gets +1/+1 for each counter on it. Equipped permanent isn't a planeswalker and is a creature in addition to its other types. Equip 1 planeswalker costs 1. Equipping anything else costs
Right.
3.
So yeah, the interaction on this isn't they become loyalty counters. You put the sword on it and give it a shed load of 1/1 counters, but then the loyalty abilities only take off 1/1 counters.
Right. Okay.
So red has quite a lot of 1/1 counter stuff in it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you could
We got-
pump that Chandra up.
We got that card from All We Won. the card all will be one, I think it is.
They said the name of the film.
Where you deal damage, and whatever damage you're dealing, you put +1/+1 counters onto a creature.
Yeah,
So you put it onto that.
And then Chandra would just go thermonuclear.
That's
Sounds
amazing.
like a fun idea. I just think it'd be a fun deck, to be honest.
Give Chandra a sword. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing with this explosions. I'm angry about Phyrexia. Guess I'm taking the tree with me. Should we talk about your cards, or have you got any more?
No, I've got no more. Lincoln, go ahead.
I'm glad that you talked about Chandra's Hook Beacon, because that was one of the cards I wanted to talk about. This gives me more room to talk about other cards. First off, let's talk about the new mechanic that's coming in. Mechanic, card type, battles. Battles. What's everyone feeling about battles at the moment? Before I explain what they are.
I think largely there hasn't been a battle that's blown my socks off. Like a perfect example would be Invasion of Zendikar, which is a 3 generic 1 green. When Invasion of Zendikar ETBs, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, tap and shuffle. That could just replace any boring old ramp card in a green deck. Yeah. And then when you defeat the battle, which only comes in with 3.
You play green, you're going to murk it the turn it comes down.
Absolutely, yeah. Then it transforms into Awakened Skyclave, which is an elemental creature with vigilance and haste. As long as it is on the battlefield, it's a land in addition to its other effects, and you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. So it's a mana dork with a strong bod, triggers landfall. So it's pretty good, but nothing mind blowing.
It's interesting because I don't think it's intended to be a very strong one. What's it printed at?
It's printed at uncommon.
Yeah, it feels like an uncommon. It feels like an uncommon ramp card.
Yeah.
So I'm not offended by it.
What do you think of battles, Kieran?
I think battles are interesting. They're a political piece, and I hate to say it, they're printed into standard, but they're printed for Commander.
Absolutely.
There's no way these were printed and they went, oh, standard will love this. They printed this for Commander because they're not quick enough for standard.
No.
They're nowhere near quick enough for standard players to gain value out of them. They're built for a slower game, which is Commander if you don't play certain decks.
Yeah.
Like, this one printed at uncommon is like, oh, it's ramp, and you gain your value off the ramp. You're paying 4 mana, though. It's a little steep, but then, like you said, you get a bod off it if you swing at it. But it's an alternate target.
Yeah. Because it works in like similar to how Planeswalkers, you can either target a Planeswalker directly, the person, or now the battle.
So it's interesting, though, because they don't go down on the person that's... So, battles, you assign a player to protect them. But they don't go on that player's board. They go on your board. It's one of the only things on your own board you can swing at. In Magic the Gathering, full stop.
I kind of assumed it would work a little bit like a curse, where like you put it on their board so that when they're attacked.
No, I was reading about them last night. They just sit on your board. Other players can swing at them as well. Like, so
Why would they? But
why would they? But it's a political thing.
Yeah.
It's like, look, if you can knock this out, I'll help you next turn. You can buy favour with it.
Yeah.
It's not built for standard in the least.
No.
I don't think they're quick enough. I don't think they're enough value for standard players.
What about you, Don?
Yeah, I think I largely agree. They're probably not quick enough. And I don't know if they're necessarily quick enough for Commander either. Commander is a slower game, but still waiting, possibly a minimum return to get some of the value out of these battles without using a burn spell, which then just makes it even more expensive. Yeah, I'm not sure how much play they'll see, a lot of them. But I do like that they're introducing something new. I like that they're trying something different. I'm always a fan of innovation. So, I'm not trying to discredit Wizards at all by giving it a go, even if I don't think they'll actually see much use.
Yeah, and I've got a funny feeling they might look at evolving on this mechanic further, because battle is the card type. This one has a subtype of siege. So I'm wondering if it's leaving the door open to add on to that further and do something different with it.
Where sieges your opponent protects, but another type they might give you will be something that you protect.
Yeah.
And the longer you protect it, the better.
Yeah.
It's playtest. It's like, do you remember the party mechanic and how it wasn't in the Dungeons and Dragons set, was randomly inserted into Zendikar? because
Yeah.
that was intelligent.
Yeah.
That was my biggest pet peeve for that set. I was like, what? Why party mechanic not in Dungeons and Dragons? Question mark. And then they put it in the next one. I was like, too late.
Too late. You missed it, wizards. The battle that I want to talk about is the invasion of casters.
Okay.
So it's 2 red, 2 non-specific for a battle that you'll give to you'll say your opponent protects, and it's got 4. What do they call it on here? We'll call it 4 health because I'm reading it.
It's basically what it is.
Yeah. But when the battle enters, it deals 3 damage to each creature in each planeswalker. So it's a 4 mana Anger of the Gods that will go down.
Ooh.
I like it for if you beat it in red, because you then get a Refraction Elemental, which is a 4/4, which has Ward, pay 2 life. Whenever you cast a spell, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. You get a better Gutter Snipe.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
You get better Gutter Snipe for doing that. I was like, this seems worth it. Again, with Dom's point of Chandra's Hook Beacon, you can just basically you can bring her out and go -4 her and just immediately blow up that battle and get value from it.
Yeah.
You probably don't want to with that. This brings me on to my next card, which I think is probably where red is going to start dominating a lot more now, is City on Fire. 3 red, 5 mana, has Convoke, which I was like, that was busted for it.
You put that in your goblins, yeah?
Yeah, of course. If a source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple the damage instead.
God.
This means every battle that everyone has seen has been there like, I don't know if it has enough value. Red goes City on Fire, they then lightning strike whatever and deal 9 damage to it. This means battles have become tedious. They go down, you could swing a 2/2 at something that flies, and if it hits that battle, it does 6. So you can just immediately gain battles the moment they come down. This leads on to something that probably me and Kieran wanted to talk about together, which is Rampaging Raptor.
Just a weird subnote, by the way, on City on Fire. It's not a story spotlight card.
Nope.
But it is.
Yeah.
Because is this Capenna that the
Yeah,
showing?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just.
So are we all up on the current state of lore at the moment?
I'm certainly not.
So, sub-theme, I hate how all of them die. Just quick thing. Way too quick. 30 years of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
30 years of these bad guys, and they're like, lol, drop a building on it. Literally, they were like, Elton was like, Atraxa, please. Go do my bidding in Capenna. You're probably immune to Halo, lol. Atraxa. Atraxa. Building's getting close. That's it. Mid. Come on. Sorry. Tirade.
Rampaging Raptor is 2 red and 2 non-specific mana for a 4/4 with Trample and Haste. That was good enough in red for just its haste. You can pay 3 mana to give it +2/+0 until the end of turn.
Fire breathing.
Yeah, it's got fire breathing. And then it has, whenever Rampaging Raptor deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target planeswalker that player controls or battle that player protects.
Okay.
I'm just going to throw out for everyone that will be joining for the Match of the Machine pre-release. The cards that deal damage to battles, I wouldn't trade immediately. Because if battle flops and they go, we're never going to do this again, and then they're like, oh, they don't do battles for, we'll say, another 2-3 sets. The cards that are dealing damage to battle are going to start increasing slowly, because it's going to take one player to make one deck busted with battles, and then everyone's like, we need to get removal for battles.
I can see this card taking off in Standard.
Yeah.
Purely on the basis of Standard doesn't have the restrictions we have as Commander players for colour. And they can just splash a bit of red and play nearly every battle.
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened with Shrines in Standard in M21?
Yeah. I heard about it.
It was a mental time to be alive because it was just an incredible value engine. And everyone was like, oh, enchantments went dirt cheap around that time. You could just pick up a really cheap enchantment deck. And then through Standard, it was just becoming a really great 5-colour Standard deck out of nowhere. I don't know why it worked, but it did. And I can see battles with cards that interact with battles being nuts in the future.
speaking of the cards that interact with it, in green, if you're doing the pre-release and you pull these cards, I suggest that you put them in the deck. There's Atraxa's Fall, funny enough. Destroy target artifact,
Why is it
battle,
green?
enchantment, or creature with flying. To put it into perspective, that's Broken Wings, which is a 3-mana instant that destroys target artifact, battle, or enchantment. They now give you a 2-mana sorcery that can destroy a battle. So if somebody's there, like, you're protecting this battle, and you suddenly realize that they're able to kill it on their next turn or something, and you go to yourself, oh, I don't want them to because they'll get value from it, you can just kill it. And I was just there, like, green can do that now, and that's gas.
Green's getting what green usually gets, which is like weird removal.
Yeah. Which then comes to Cosmic Hunger, which is going to be funny. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature, planeswalker, or battle. That's power creep for you, because Rabid Bite was deal damage to target creature, and that was a sorcery for 2 mana. They then put it to Infectious Bile, which was deal it to creature or planeswalker, and every opponent gets a poison counter. And now they're like creature, planeswalker, or battle. So with green, you don't even need to. It's funny in green because green's probably the best for taking out battles, but they don't even need to attack now. They can just go, my creature fights the battle.
Yeah.
You don't even get a chance to protect it. It just immediately deletes the battle. I get the value. And that's just 2 mana for an instant, so you can do it in their end step and get the value. Mm-hmm. So I'm there like green and red are probably ones to like watch in the pre-release because they have the ability to interact with all these new battles. But then the final card I want to talk about is the one we were talking about earlier, Kieran, Into the Fire.
Amazing card.
Oh. 1 red mana, 2 non-specific for a sorcery. Choose 1. Into the Fire deals 2 damage to each creature, planeswalker, and battle. So, it's kind of good. It's good board wipe. It then has, put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your library, draw that many cards, plus 1. You win for yourself.
The 3 mana.
So good.
In red as well.
So good.
That's
Yeah,
usually
right.
so much card draw,
So
isn't it?
red is usually exile your hand, draw that many cards. You may play those cards for the rest of this turn, or discard your cards and throw them in the street and never play them again. Whereas this one's just like, it's just value.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I've opened up on a load of cards I'm not going to be able to use.
Mm-hmm.
But I might want them later. Like, it's just insane. And also, we were just talking about that Chandra.
Yeah.
You could pick 2 modes. You can use both modes off
That's
the
a good
Chandra.
point. Yeah.
Cool.
This first
I
value
thought
card.
if you're copying it, you have to pick the same mode. I'm sure you've got to pick the same mode because that's some of the limitations in like my and I have a deck with multiple modes. If you're copying it, you pick 1 mode, you have to pick up mode for that mode for all 3.
Done better check.
Dom's about to fact check me like Donald Trump here.
Copy of a spell is identical to the original in all choices. Usually copying a spell will allow you to change targets, but unless the copy effect allows you to change something, it's locked in as what the original spell shows, including modes.
Sad.
Damn.
Still a solid card.
It does mean that you can either bin your hand twice if you wanted to really dig through your library for something. Like you were there, like you had some way of being there. Like, I'm pretty sure this card I need is halfway down my deck.
But also, it interacts with battles yet again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red and green have a lot of battle interaction.
On the green note, there's a card from the previous set which kind of spoiled and hinted at the new battle mechanic. It attracts a Grand Unifier. That could be a card that I'm selfishly hoping gets a spike because I own a copy and can do nothing with it right now. But yeah, it's flying vigilance, death touch, lifelink on a 7/7 pod, which is crazy. Where it attracts a Grand Unifier enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each card type, you may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then there's so it's all old news at this point, but it then lists all the sort of card types listing battle as one of them.
Right.
But I think that card will now see a lot more play. I think when the meta shifts,
It'll see a lot more playing people that want to play battles. It's when she enters the battlefield, isn't cast, correct?
Yeah, when she ETB. So it's in blue, it's in white, lots of flicker.
I was going to say flicker effects are going to be
Yeah.
interesting with this. Or what's the enchantment on the field during your
End step.
end step?
Transportation circle.
Yeah. that's just going to be a given.
Sorry, teleportation circle.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
talking about.
But no, that's going to be an interesting little interaction off the
Yeah.
back of this now. You're not wrong. I don't think it'll spike, but I think it'll see a spike in play.
Yes.
So I think everyone that wants one's probably going to have already got a copy right now.
Yeah, and they're hoping that it's going to be doing something in a set. Again, all of the spoilers that have come out for it, a lot of it's just been really gas.
Yeah.
Like, we've talked about main set here as well. Like, we've not even got into the fact that Blue literally now has a card that just gives all knights horsemanship.
Yeah.
Like, horsemanship's back. Who saw that one coming?
Nobody.
No, I called that.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Someone's
because when Mark Rosewater sort of like did this cryptic-ish
I love when he
spoilers
does
on Twitter, he sort of hinted at a mechanic return, and I was like, I bet that's going to be horsemanship. It was horsemanship.
I was hoping for Eminence, to be honest.
Oh no,
Which I've still got.
You got
yeah, because they reprinted. Did they reprint the Dragon one? Five-Color Dragon.
You're on about Commander Masters.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a lot of cards. We haven't talked about backup at all.
Oh, the mechanic?
Oh
new-
yeah, the card is.
I think it's a new mechanic. I haven't seen it before.
I mean,
Um,
Oracle text.
So the helpful text I'm looking at Bola Slinger, which is just a common. Backup 1. When this creature enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. If that's another creature, it gains the following ability until end of turn. This one is whenever this creature attacks, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls. That one's not strong. But the mechanic in general, I think, is.
It's new for the set.
It is new for the set. Great. My question is, if you do back up another creature, does the original creature still have the following text? Applied
Yes,
to it?
because it says it will also have the following ability.
Right, okay. Okay. That's good then. What was it? There was a card I was looking at.
Is it Backup Angel?
Quite possibly it had like backup 1, backup 1, backup 1. And it had some busted effect on it.
Oh, it's like, do you know what it is? It's like whenever they bring a new mechanic in, there's always like one flagship card for it. Do you remember Cascade, 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 Cascade?
Yeah.
They were like, I was like, yeah, we get it, Wizards. Thanks. You put it back in the box.
I have to look up the backup angel. That's the thing.
You're like, this sounds
It's
great.
angels. And I do angels.
What I'm really enjoying about this set is just the flavour, if I'm completely honest. Like the fact we've just gone, so do all these planes that you like as with the Coast fans? It's a set where they're all fighting machines.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, Kaldheim, love Kaldheim. That's great.
Have they introduced new planes as well?
Well, Zalfia is now returned in the lore.
Teferi went, lol, home.
I don't think there's new, but they've basically shown that there's they've named all of them basically. So if it's not in the invasions, it's in the Planeswalk cards.
Right.
Oh yeah, Plane Chase is back. That's another
Yeah,
whole
that's
thing.
I'm really excited about that.
You think the app's going to be updated with all of the new ones? Is the app already updated with all the new ones?
It literally could be at this point.
Yeah.
I haven't checked the one that I used.
Plane Chase, for those that don't know, is a game of Commander or whatever. You play Oathbreaker into it now, really feasibly, and honestly, it probably make more flavour sense. Where you have a deck of cards in the middle. This is a deck of cards, and you interact with the cards.
Here's what
So-
I made earlier.
When you have like a static effect, all creatures gain 2/2. Great. And then you roll a dice, and one side has a chaos symbol on it. And for example, on this one, whenever you roll a chaos, you may add Wooburg to your mana pool. Or you can planeswalk away from it, which will take you to another card in the deck. He's just going to keep rolling. Go.
Can't you just hit next?
He could literally just hit next. There we go! Gold Meadow! Lorwyn, you know why I like this?
Go on.
Kithkin! We got a new Kithkin. I'm not even mad. It's like common. I'm fine. I'll buy it. Apologies.
Did you find your backup card? Well,
I'm still looking.
I feel like you saw it on a meme page and now was stuck. What do you think it was called?
I don't. I have no idea. The reason for it, I was watching a video to prepare for this last night. That Lincoln very kindly sent to me. and they went through like a bunch of cards. And so all of that information entering my brain at once. Remember how I said I can't remember Pokemon names anymore? Yeah, I can't remember Magic card names.
So there's a card in the Commander set, Emergent Woodworm, that has backup 3, and whenever a creature attacks with the top X cards you like, where X is power, you may put a permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's just like, hey, do you know green likes value? Do you want some more? Yeah, I can't say anything about backup Angel.
It had backup 1 3 times.
Backup 2, backup 1, backup 2. I've got
All
the
I was
Oracle.
just looking.
Yeah, I'm on the. Is this? No.
There was, I know when me and Dom were watching that video, there was a dragon as well that was basically the equivalent of a Sun Titan, because it said when it attacks, you get to return target non-land permanent.
Guardian
From-
Scale Lord.
Yeah, from the battle, from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the creature's power,
Oh.
and that had a backup on it.
Have you seen there's a new Titan card?
Is there?
Let me check. So sets. Yeah, again, please sponsor me, Mana Box, because I already pay you.
Oh, I found the card. Go on.
Titan. Yeah, we've got Blight Titans. It is a 4 black 6/6 Death Touch. Whenever Blight Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, mill 2 cards, then incubate X, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard.
Ooh.
So for those in the know, create an incubator token with X 1/1 counters on it and pay 2, transform this artifact. It transforms into a 0/0 friction artifact creature token. So the 1/1s transverse over to its other side. But this is the first new Titan card, I think, in quite a while.
Yeah.
Do we think it's like a new Titan or like a completed Sun
It's a
Titan?
Phyrexian giant, so I have a feeling it's probably what you're thinking of.
Rip Sun Titan.
Oh no, sometimes not dead. Sure not.
Maybe it's the banned one, and he's like so sick of being banned, he just
Primeval
covered himself in
Titan.
Praetor because he's worth it.
So the card I was looking for, I have found. It's in March of the Machine Commander. I think the reason I couldn't find it is I was looking at the main set. Conclave Sledge Captain. It's 5 and a green. Has backup 1, backup 1, backup 1. And the abilities that you would get are Trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, put that many +1/+1 counters on it, and it enters as a 4/4 Elephant Soldier. 4 green with just like lots of creatures and going wide. I feel like that's huge.
Green in general just gets value out of every set. It's insane at the minute. Previous sets, white was getting a lot of love because white just hadn't had love in ever.
Yeah.
Like, what? New Capenna was about the start of it, and now we've started to see it drop off again.
Yeah.
Green's starting to do really strong again. Red this set. I think we're going to see a lot of mono red aggro decks in standard play.
Oh yeah, with Urabrask the Praetor as well coming in.
Yeah.
And finally getting love from Wizards and being pretty decent.
Herabrask just never gets love. Also,
Red, you'll see in Commander probably a lot more red spell slingers now.
yeah.
A lot of
Which is
people will be
nice.
bringing it in.
Because usually you'd see it in Is It?
Mhm.
Repeat that. Also, we've got one Wooburg set this set.
Really?
One Wooburg card this set. Begin the Invasion, X Wooburg Sorcery. Search your library for X battle cards with different names. Put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle.
Mhm.
You can literally just empty your deck for battles and just shove them all down. I love
That's
that.
good.
That is very good.
I also love it thematically because the artwork is just like sliced planes.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm wondering how many of these battles will go into a lot of other 5-color decks.
Do you want to check?
The mana dork one that you were mentioning, I'm there like, it could work in slivers just because the fact that you can bring it down for green and then use
That's
it to
right,
search for any other colour. And because it's a land as well, the Chromatic Lantern ability works in it as well.
Yeah.
So,
If you've got like
Right.
if you've got a bloom tender out and you've got like all different battles, you've then got a bloom tender that can tap for Wooburg.
Yeah. I'm going to probably try Begin the Invasion, remove the weird sword engine I've got in slivers at the minute. And
What's
see that go.
the other one that you're talking about? The green one that once you beat it, it turns into the big creature for
Invasion of Ikoria.
Invasion of Ikoria. That'll be good in slivers as well, because its alt form is basically if your creatures are blocked, you can treat them as if they weren't blocked and they just deal damage anyway.
Yeah. So I'll die, but you know what? It's fine.
Yeah, because all of the slivers will just get through.
And they'll still trigger their abilities as if they dealt damage as well. So
Mhm.
like the poison counters will go through, the draw cards, the generating tokens, that'll all still happen.
It's basically maybe 5 color will get in commander will like the battle cards.
You see me getting a retrain on Sword of the Animist as well.
Oh yeah, I did see.
Bit of Thorn, Nissa's Animus, legendary artifact equipment for 3 colourless. It's living weapon, so when it ETBs, a germ just picks it up.
Mhm.
Like could have just been a Phyrexian 0/0, but no, it's a germ. Equipped creature gains 1/1, which we've seen before, and whenever a equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Equip 3. Just Sword of the Animist, but it costs 1 more.
Yeah.
You
So
get to use it quicker, I guess.
Yeah.
Depending on your board state.
No, it's a Phyrexian one. Phyrexian germ, sorry.
If you've got like a Rhythm of the Wild or something down that gives your stuff haste, it's just
Yeah.
immediate value.
That's pretty cool.
I think Wizards did very well with this set then. They gave a lot of different colours gas.
Mhm.
In the pre-release, I reckon probably red and green will be ones to watch for colours in the draft. I reckon that those colours will be doing very well.
They've just had insane value out of the set. From a tribal standpoint, it's a very strong set because I struggle to think of a tribe that hasn't gotten some decent love out of this set.
Yeah.
Even Kithkin got like 2 cards.
My personal favourite in terms of tribal value is another battle, Invasion of Tarkia.
Yes.
Printed at Mythic, has 5 health on it, but I think it's worth it because it only costs one and a red. When it ETBs, reveal any number of dragon cards from your hand. When you do, Invasion of Tarkia deals X plus 2 damage to any other target where X is the number of cards revealed this way. When you defeat it, it turns into Defiant Thundermaw, Flying Trample. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, it deals 2 damage to any target. It's got 4/4 bod. Somebody like me who plays a Miram deck with lots of dragons, it's going to be fun.
It's a very, very strong card.
Yeah.
I'm probably putting it in my red-green dragons.
Ooh, yeah.
But Kieran, what did you think of the lore of Magic for this one?
Started out great. And then what? Pretty sure Vorinclex just got yeeted by some random person saving Teferi. I was like, oh, sick. See you in a bit. You were the best one. Rest of them can't be. No, dropped a builder on this one. Shieldred just got done for infighting.
Yeah.
Like, Shieldred genuinely was like, oh, well, Elish Norn went, Ajani, do me a favour. Go and get Shieldred. He rocks up. He's cut all the limbs off and she's screaming. There's this weird dialogue that I don't think needed to happen between the two of them. And then Elish Norn just goes, all right, Ajani, end it. And he's, that's it. Pops like a cork.
I'd seen some speculation that maybe she's not dead. Apparently, a thing of Shieldred is that she is very detachable because, like, in the
Her head's
oldest-
missing in Dominaria United. Like,
Yeah.
It's just a head.
Yeah, so she might not be dead. She could be like a recurring big bad in sets to come, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well,
It's like,
we'll find out. I hope so. She's a good card.
to jump to the end of this story thing, I had like this weird revelation behind the counter while working yesterday because my brain just works 10 to the dozen because I'm pretty sure I'm diagnosed ADD here. Right. So at the end of the story, the fairies leaving Phyrexia. The invasion tree is crumbling and he's like, oh, Ren left me an acorn on the invasion tree. Do you know this big Phyrexian tree? He's like, sick, this is Ren. Doesn't check nothing. And then just goes and plants it in Zephyr. He literally plants a Phyrexian tree in Zephyr. And I'm like, well, this isn't going to come back and bite us in the ass at all. Phyrexian Ren, the next Praetor, anyone?
Watch this space in 6 years.
Can't wait to be proven. Goddamn right.
Uh,
I'm not gonna lie, I expected way more out of the story though.
Yeah,
Like towards the end, I was like,
you said, it was 30 years of a build-up because Elspeth came in 1998 or 2002, something like that. Elspeth has been a planeswalker for a while, and her whole story is basically she came from Mirrodin.
No, sure. So her original plane is Capenna. That's
Yeah.
where she was born.
it's
When her
Angel.
spark ignited, was it Theros she went to? I thought.
She has a link to Theros, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But angels just don't deal with Theros because they're like, they got gods. Let's not deal with us.
Yeah.
Because Magic the Gathering goes, yeah, angels now deal with gods. Don't worry about it.
So she goes to Mirrodin at one point and then sees the horrors of Phyrexia because she gets experimented on there.
Yeah.
And she sees like all of the like prisoners of war and stuff, and she's there like, wow, Phyrexia would be bad. Planeswalker
No, you're right.
goes to Bant, and is there like, wow, angels are cool. Then goes to Pharos, I believe, and is there like, oh wow, the gods are cool. Gets betrayed by one of the gods there, has to conquer death itself. Does.
Cool
But-
saga, by the way.
Yeah.
Elish Norn at this point is being like given nightmares from Ashiok, which is an entirely different planeswalker. If you're confused at this point, then just know this is me trying to speed up 30 years worth of storytelling.
He's doing a good job as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I'm not really missing points. Ashiok is like, hey, Elish Norn, here's some nightmares. I bet you this white planeswalker called Elspeth's going to come along and give you some bad time. So Elish Norn's like, I gotta stop that white walker Elspeth. Like, gotta stop her. The strike team of 10 planeswalkers arrive, and they're like, we're here to blow up New Phyrexia. They're about to, and they're like, wait, we might blow up more than just Phyrexia. We might blow up the whole multiverse. This is a thing that planeswalkers do a lot.
They go, oh no, we didn't think this plan through. Oh no. Turns out the ones that didn't think it through kind of worked.
So Elspeth is there like, right, I can't let them destroy the entire multiverse. So she takes we'll call it the nuke, the Silex, teleports into what is called the Blind Eternity. So just imagine it as the space between space.
Limbo.
So the Planeswalker's version of the back room.
Double checking. Isn't that where we locked, Planeswalkers locked all the goddamn Eldrazi?
Yeah.
So she just planeswalked to where the
Well,
Eldrazi
that's
be
where
chilling.
the Eldrazi be from.
Yeah, but Emrakul or the Emrakul's avatar is locked in the moon on Innistrad.
But
Which, by the way, I was like, oh great, can't wait to see a furry. I'm glad I wasn't proven right about that.
But it brings up more questions because then basically Elishnon's like, oh, I'll just find Elspeth at another point and kill her. So it doesn't matter. I'm going to let these planeswalkers leave and say that Phyrexia is coming because there must be people to say that the gods are coming.
30 seconds later, meanwhile, branches from tree.
Yeah. So I don't know what the point of that was, but Elspeth then is in the Blind Eternities, and she's just basically like, oh man, I got to make a decision. And then, so if you're there, when I tell you this bit, you'd be like, who? Don't worry, most other Magic players don't know who this is. So Sarah, the Benevolent, appears and is basically like, you need to make a decision, Elspeth. And Elspeth doesn't question who is this. She's just like, oh, cool, an angel.
No, you're right, I do.
And she's like, okay, so what's the choice? It's like, you can either go to New Capenna and save it because Atraxa's destroying it. You can go to Pharos because it's basically all of its gods are dead, bar maybe 2. So they were like,
Good old Helios.
so they were there like, all right, you can go there and save the people that you like, where your boyfriend and all that is from. She's like, all right, cool. Or you can go back and fight Elish Norn and do what destiny demands. And Elspeth's like, all right, I've made my choice. I'm gonna fight Elish Norn. And Sarah's like, sick.
Here's a knife.
Here's a sword. I'm going to give you my powers. And if you're there like, who is Sarah? She's basically a planeswalker from really old.
Yeah.
Really old, before Elspeth was a thing.
Pretty sure Sarah was Sarah created? Or am I thinking of someone else?
No, that's Avacyn. Avacyn was created. Sarah was another planeswalker.
From Alara?
I think so.
Yeah.
She's pre-mending,
Yes.
which is another thing to get into. But I
Whole
won't.
other thing.
But basically, she's just a very powerful planeswalker. Something bad happened, so she had to sacrifice herself in order to reverse the thing that happened. So she's given Elspeth her powers, and Elspeth comes back as an angel. And you're there probably thinking, wow, so she's about to stop the invasion. It's like, yes. The big fight basically is Elspeth appears in front of Elish Norn, Elishnorn's like, oh my god, it's scary. Starts throwing her chair at her. I'm not joking.
And it's literally a case of if you've seen that gif where there's a woman working in a restaurant gets thrown a chair, that sort of like palms off the chair and carries on.
Waffle House.
That's
Waffle
it,
House. Such a good video.
So Elishnorn then is like fighting Elspeth, but Elspeth, it's the thing as well of where I was reading it. They were basically like, Elishnorn has thrown 5 chairs at her basically at this point, and Elspeth is just standing there not paying attention as these chairs are hitting her, but they're not dealing damage. But the 6th one gets thrown at her and it hits her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna pay attention now. That's 6 chairs, Elishnorn. That's a one too many."
When I read that, I pictured it as a Commander game where it's like, I got pinged by a 1-1. What do you mean it has infect?
So she's like, "That's one too many, Elishnorn. I'm coming down there to sort you out." She appears. They're having like a scrap, and another
Just pulling hair.
another praetor there turns to Elishnorn. And what you have to bear in mind, Elishnorn has been at this point. We are all one. We are going to do this. We are going to do that. The entire of the universe will be molded to my vision, and we will all be perfect. Jin Cataxius is like, "Yo, Elishnorn, kill her already, because I don't like the fact that you're taking too long." And Elishnorn, calm, composed woman that she's been, I say woman, she's basically a machine, but calm, composed machine that she has been all this time, turns around to Jin Cataxius, screams in his face, then rips his arms off. And I was like, okay, so she's lost her composure, apparently.
Can we also highlight that Jin Cataxius, when he rocks up, is basically on the Phyrexian version of a car.
Yeah.
He's on like this big machine thing that's got like arms swinging everywhere and it walks. Now, I just pictured him rolling the window down like, "Yo, can you finish up?"
And Elishnorn just reaches in, takes his arms off, and says, "Shut up." And Jin Cataxius is like, "I'm going to my room." And leaves. She turns back to Elspeth, who's gone off to do other things, because she's going off helping the other planeswalkers fix the problem. Elspeth then comes back, they have this scrap again, and Elishnorn at this point has been damaged a lot, and she just basically turns to Elspeth and goes, "We're not so different, you and I." That meme of, what is it, Willem Dafoe in Spider-Man.
I'm thinking of a scientist
To
myself.
sell. Which it could have led somewhere, because they're both mono-white, so they basically are the same, because Elspeth is like,
White represents order.
order, yeah. So Elspeth is like, we need to have order for everyone to basically, like, have peace.
It's
And Elishnorn's the twisted version of it, of we will have order by everybody being one. There will be no individuality.
so
They're the same.
it's the alignment chart from D&D, basically.
Yeah.
It's lawful good versus like
Lawful evil.
lawful evil, yeah. They're both different ends of the same spectrum.
So it would have been interesting if that comes into like a moral debate, but the moral debate basically gets summed up in one sentence of Elspeth then turning to Elishnorn after being like, we're not so different, you and I. And her being like, yeah, but I serve to protect the people. This is basically what she says. I serve to protect the people. You just want everybody to serve you. And Elishnorn's reaction to this is to scream at her and start throwing more chairs, of which Elishnorn then stabs her in the shoulder, of which, no, Elspeth stabs Elishnorn in the
Too many E's.
shoulder.
Too many E's.
Yeah, too much. And once Elishnorn is there crawling away, Khan, who, if you're there like, who's this?
Khan? Where's he come from?
This whole story was supposed to be about him, mind, because he's another main thing. He does nothing for like most of this plot.
He is the machine.
Yeah, he is the machine. And he goes up and basically is one of the, we'll call the creators of the Praetors, sort of.
Well, he created
Was an accident.
Mirrodin, which then became New Phyrexia.
Once the oil had been
He
discovered.
leaked oil, basically.
Yeah.
And
Because he left Memnarch in charge, and Memnarch got
jealous.
jealous and became corrupted and evil, and then overthrown by.
Yeah.
Then he became a random blue card that Balan's used.
One time.
But basically, if you're there like, so what's the ending? Khan lifts her up and goes, "You're my mistake, so I will deal with this." Erases Elishnorn, which makes you think, why didn't he just do this from the beginning? He has this ability just to touch them and delete them.
Yeah,
He's
he can
just
manipulate
not done it.
matter.
And she then is disintegrated and dies. They all then leave, and because they leave and some planeswalker stuff happens, it shuts off a connection to New Phyrexia. So all of the Phyrexians that currently invading everywhere else, just shut down because they've lost their link, because apparently that's how it works.
Which has never happened before.
Yeah. And they all just shut down and go into a comatose state, and people are just there like, oh, well, that's just a thing.
But the best thing is, the completed Planeswalkers, we're like, oh, I was expecting this big War of the Spark event out of next year where we're like, oh, out with the old, red wedding, in with the new.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure you were about to go here, but it pissed me off the way they did it. They went, lol, it's fine, this character just fixes it.
Like, this one character is basically like, I'm dying, but I will use Malira, the living cure. I'm dying, but I have the ability to cure Phyrexia. So that's where the Planeswalkers who have gone to the other side through Force
So, like,
are now going to be brought back.
Nissa, Nahiri.
Well, I think Ajani and Nissa... Nahiri's been shown, but Nahiri wasn't there.
Yeah.
But Ajani and Nissa were cured, and there's been pictures shown of Nahiri no longer having her sword arm, so 3 of the Planeswalkers have been cured, but some of the other ones that swapped over to the other side, they just basically disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to them. So in short,
Jace.
Jace and
Jace is
Vraska.
a big one.
Yeah, Jason
Yeah.
Because Jace is the most dangerous of arguably all the Planeswalkers, because he can just mess with your head.
Yeah, just delete your memory if he wanted to. I'm pretty sure he does that to someone, doesn't he, by accident?
It wasn't even an accident. I'm pretty sure he did it deliberately.
To Vraska, right?
To Vraska.
Yeah.
He deleted some of his own memory as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's just, if you're there like, wow, that was a lot to take into consideration. That was 30 years worth of storytelling, which summed up for the final battle of one woman comes back and is like, I'm an angel now, and the other ones, they're like, I'm gonna throw chairs at you for about 5 minutes, realize that's not working, try to do Naruto on you and be there like, hey, let's talk it out, talk no jutsu, date bayo and all that. we are one in the same. Elspeth went, nah, and then she went, all right, let's scrap again. Get off my plane.
I didn't hear no bell, bitch.
And that was it. That's how the story was summed up. And it's just like, oh, where are we going now with the story?
You may wonder what happened to the other Phyrexians. One got building dropped on them.
Oh, yeah.
That was them.
Yeah.
That was summed up in the artwork of the green card run about earlier. One of them just gets shanked by one of Teferi's mates during like a passing moment.
Yeah, Vorinclex.
He just got...
Vorinclex kills Teferi's horse, is about to kill Teferi, and basically for the uninitiated for it, Vorinclex is probably one of the strongest praetors after Elish Norn.
By far,
Because-
physically, yeah.
Physically, yes, because he's supposed to be the definition of an apex predator.
Yeah.
He is the strongest of green creatures. And some random guy just
They named
runs up with
it was a
sword.
woman as well, I believe.
Did they name her?
It's a named person I've never heard of before.
Just
From
runs up
Teferi's home.
with a sword, goes yeet, chops off Vorinclex's head, picks up Teferi, and they leave. That was it.
It's not mentioned at all. Like, they may as well have just got died off screen, don't even worry about it.
Jin Cataxius is probably the funniest because the card that they've made for him is very strong. And Jin Cataxius has always just been a really strong card whenever it's come out.
Right.
And this guy dies. You want to explain what the card does?
Yeah, I just
Go
got
on.
here because it was one of the ones that I thought might be worth talking about. 3 generic and 2 blue for a 5/5 bod. Ward 2. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, draw a card. You can then pay 3 generic and 1 blue to exile Jin Cataxius, then return to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. Activate only as a sorcery and only if you have 7 or more cards in hand. It transforms into the Great Synthesis. First, it's a saga, so the first stage is draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hands. You have no maximum hand size for as long as you control the Great Synthesis, which is a weird limitation. It kind of felt like should be one of those things where it's like for the rest of the game type effect.
It's because you can recur it.
That's true. Stage 2, return all non-Phyrexian creatures to their owner's hands. Just board wipe. Stage 3, you may cast any number of spells from your hand without paying the mana cost, which is
Absurd.
yeah, it's
the other reason it doesn't matter.
Omniscience, basically. And then after that, it goes back to being
Jin Cataxius.
Good old
Jin
Jin.
Cataxius.
This card, really strong.
Yeah.
How Jin Cataxius dies in the lore. Teferi, who almost got killed by Vorinclex, rocks up into Jin Cataxius' lab, and he's like, my arms got ripped off by Elish Norn, and I'm sad now, so I'm just collecting my data and trying to leave. Teferi's like, no, you ain't leaving. They have a fight. He time stops him, then boots him like Batman. He boots him like how Batman throws what is it, Red Hood into the acid vat,
Yeah.
drops him into that, and Jin Kataxius falls into a vat which has apparently Phyrexian leeches in it, and those eat him, and he's like, no, and dies. Every one of these praetors have been built up as the biggest threat that you have ever seen to
They
the
are like
multiverse.
universe-ending bullshit. One of them can just eradicate the multiverse.
One of them rocked up and she was known as the Apocalypse. And these characters either get beheaded, thrown in a vat of leeches, randomly stabbed, or Urabras, which is basically, he gets captured because he's there like, hey, I'm Red, I'm Passion, I don't think that we should all be one identity. We should all be individuals. Elishnorn like, I don't like that.
That's why he went to New Capenna and he came back with passion.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't like that. You're gonna get deleted. So she just straps him to a wheel. The people are like ripping off his arms and legs. She's like, leave the traitor, and just leaves him there with no arms and legs. Every one of these praetors deleted like they weren't even a problem. If they were like, because some people might be like, Elspeth came back with like pre-mending planeswalker powers, so she's just uber strong at this point. But it's not like she came back uber strong and was there like, I'm going to do the equivalent of the Goku Spirit Bomb and blow up the
Lend me
plane.
your power, planeswalkers.
She just rocks up and just gets a sword and bam. And Elishnorn's like, no, a sword, dies.
I did
My
like-
weakness, knives.
I did like the storyline where, is it Guida? I always mispronounce the name. Guida? The angel in New Capenna?
Giada.
Yeah.
Giada. She's literally just operating as, like, BT telecoms for the angels.
Oh, well, like Skynet.
And she's like, portal open, go there. Angels, what? Deal with that. And then another one, she's like, hey, Elspeth, how you doing? And I'm like, how quick did this go in? She was like 4 in some of these artworks. And then suddenly she's like 20 in this somehow.
20 and managing an entire... She's basically the equivalent of the main character of XCOM, of where you're looking at everybody from above and going, ah, yes, move here.
But she does just suddenly out of nowhere have this authority over angels, because for those uninitiated, New Capenna was originally the plane of angels. But they were like, now we sleep.
Yeah.
I thought they were like betrayed by the demons because Capenna was invaded by the Phyrexians back when like Yawgmoth was a whole thing, and the reason that those Phyrexians were defeated was because the demons like had to like use the angels' halo to defeat them, but to do that they had to like encase them in statue or some nonsense. But they betrayed the angels to defeat.
It's why Attractor was so pissed when she went there.
Yeah.
She was like, look at what they've done. What is this?
Just looking at like Giada.
Yeah, look
Oh,
at this
no.
artwork. Why in the artwork we saw like 3 sets ago is she like 13?
and now she looks...
Now she looks like she's from Resident Evil 4. Like, where'd she get that coat from?
Pairing up with Eren as well was a weird one.
Gave her a Halo gang.
Yeah.
It's such a weird set.
Because like wizards just don't do guns, right? Like or like for
No, they were like
They call them arc splitters. They shoot lightning instead.
it's
that old chestnut.
it's like in Ravnica. They were like, give them lightning guns. That'll do. What about actual bullets? Nah, magic, bro.
I'm pretty sure that was a thing that they were saying with some of the cards. They were like, oh, all of the like planes meet up when they were teasing it and being there like, oh, so what's it going to be like when that... Because either Wizards mentioned it or somebody else was talking about it and being like, oh, when all of these planes meet up, what's going to happen? Because you got Bant, which is another plane, and they're all like knights, standard, we'll call it...
Arthurian knights kind of
Arthurian
thing.
knights and all that. And New Capenna is basically gangsters, but everyone's got lightning
Hey
guns.
Tony, get the lightning gun.
The equivalent of a random human could walk down the street and then a demon appears in front of him, and he, instead of the demon going, give me your soul, he says, give me your money. And the guy can be like, you just stepped into the wrong hood, and pulls out a lightning lock and aims it at the demon. The demon's like, whoa, I didn't realize I was in this hood, and will leave. This is the 2 different multiverses, and they have met up. What are the knights gonna do when they get lightning machine guns, lightning Tommy guns?
I'll tell you what they're gonna do. they're going to summon the gods from Theros because that's a thing. Because the way gods work in Theros is that you have to believe in it. So they didn't even have to convert the gods themselves. They just had to convert the believers, and then they believed in Phyrexian gods. And I'm like, I actually get that. I like that. Well done, Wizards. You did right on this.
Wizards has a weird thing for Magic the Gathering lore, where some things in it, you're there like, it's really, really cool. And then sometimes you read other parts of it, and you're there like, why the hell is this here? Why? Because that's another thing that's unexplained. Remember in like when the strike team after losing to New Phyrexia, they come back and they're all in the hut and everyone's talking. And I always love that bit because it's just the equivalent of them going, Jace is dead, and Liliana's like, my boyfriend wouldn't die, and they're like, your boyfriend got killed by his wife, so, you know, and Liliana's like, oh, like that, and leaves.
She's like, I'm going back to the school, and they're like, you always do this, Liliana.
So, they're all there, like, you know, being there like, oh, we're sad now because we lost, because, you know, I'm pretty sure somebody could do, like, some sort of, like, test, and I'm pretty sure Planeswalkers fail in their mission 70% of the time.
Or like 95% if you're Sorin.
That Sorin thing cracked me up. I was about to bring that up. The fact that they're like, oh, so Sorin only succeeded very recently. Every other time he's had to kill creations, he's had to just lick his wounds. He's like, I want to save my plane, and everyone else is like, just sit down.
Just don't stop.
Honestly, you do more harm than good.
Yeah, Planeswalkers do a lot of bad. But they're all talking to themselves, and then because that's another thing, Chantra and Ren are basically like, hey, we sent 10 of our strongest Planeswalkers there and they failed. What are we going to do? We're going to do it ourselves. And they're like, you right, and they Planeswalk there. But there's just a bunch of people that are apparently in the shadows, and they're there like, they feel like they've been there before, and they're like, what are we here for? And we're like, we're here for the beginning of the end. Was that ever explored?
No, because I feel like we're going to slowly get stuff now about some other big bad that was probably hinted at 12 billion years ago by Wizards of the Coast. They're going to unearth it and write a bad story about it.
I'm hoping they bring back...
Wizards.
They bring back Yawgmoth.
They probably will, because it's the only guy that's either not in the moon or dead.
Because with the way that they basically shut down the Phyrexians and stuff, it just makes sense that Yawgmoth would come back and start doing it.
It's a power vacuum now.
Yeah.
Because I vaguely remember a bit of lore where it's like they defeated Yawgmoth by turning him back into a human, and then because he was just a human, then he just lost the respect of the Phyrexians. Am I making that up? Or I could be off on that one.
To give you guys, the viewers and listeners at home, Yawgmoth is the guy who made, basically, Phyrexians.
Yeah.
And this is back in probably the 90s, this sort of storytelling for it. 90s or early 2000s.
Yeah.
It's again one of those things of he was just a random human. He found the oil. He was then trying to do, because what do they call him? He was a eugenicist, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So, which is not very politically correct right now. but he was basically like, hey, I'm going to take all of this oil and start doing experiments. Started making the Phyrexians. He was like, hey, man, this is cool. Started doing that more. He got stopped and got locked into what was old Phyrexia. But then Urza and Mishra accidentally release him. And he's like, hey, Dominaria's back. I'm going to send my son Gix. Go take it for me. He fails. And he's like, Gix, you failed. You're a disappointment. Throws him into the equivalent of Phyrexia hell. And he's like, I'm going to do it myself. And basically then got defeated again by Urza. Because Urza then rocks up with all of the other Planeswalkers.
Yeah, well, Urza just like, oh, so, figured this thing out.
Yeah.
Destroys everything, goes, sick. I like bowls.
Again, for those that aren't into too much Magic lore, you don't have to catch up on everything to understand the Match the Machine set. You only need to really know what happened in All Will Be One. But if you're there like, I like this storyline, I think it was really good, you can still like it. You know, it has its really good moments.
Like, but I'm ripping on it. It's a good story.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was too short.
30-year build-up, basically.
Like, call me out on this. This should have been a block set. They should have brought out block sets for this. And some will argue the last few sets have been a block set, but it hasn't been in the truest sense.
Yeah.
It hasn't had an overarching title and then three subsets to it, which I feel like we should have had. We low-key getting that with the epilogue set,
The Aftermath.
the Aftermath. And I have my opinions on that, but I'll save it when the spoilers are out, because I hope I'm proven wrong.
There's 2 out currently. I don't know if you want. I've got those up in front of me if you wanted to talk about those, but
They low-key lead on to like the next sets,
Yeah.
so they might be worth saving for like a mini-sode.
We got on time?
it
It's
is
time.
It is time.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
And cast time stretch.
It's going to take an extra soon. Please remember that we are doing
Did you casual
pre-release.
Oh yeah. Who am I?
Don't casualty it. I swear, when we play Commander later, if you're going to start copying take extra turn spells, I will nuke your board.
You nuke my board anyway. You've learned to kill me first, and
Yes.
I appreciate it. But
Please remember that at Geek Retreat this Friday, we are doing the pre-release. If you've been listening to this and you've been slightly interested in Magic, you want to come down, this is a very good time to like get in, especially with a new mechanic coming in.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to be like relearning Magic basically at this point.
We'll help you build the deck as
Yeah.
well. Like,
Yeah.
The uninitiated, it's the best way to learn.
absolutely.
For those who come down here anyway to play Magic, we hope that you enjoyed the banter between us, and I hope that you're excited just as much as we are for some of the cards that are coming out this set. I have been Lincoln.
I've been Josh.
I will always be Kieran.
Occasionally, I'm Dom.
Thank you so much for listening, and have a very good day.
It's time for a board wipe.
Is it only
Board
turn
wipe
4?
this episode.
With the way that some of us play, that is sometimes turn 4.